Hello and welcome to the latest edition of the Codcast. I'm Andrew Snaith.
Chipped forward by Smith, headed in field there for Farrett. Farrett goes down, penalty to Whitby.
I mean, they can complain all they like, but it's not a head injury.
No, absolutely. Timon then steps up and presses it into the back of the net. Seasiders lead a goal to nil. Matty Timon stroking the ball home, sending Roberts the wrong way. Whitby Town 1, Ilkeston 0. Timon's going to try one from range. It's dipping. Oh, it's off the crossbar. It was almost from Matty Timon. I think that caught all of us off guard a little bit there. Predicted there is a full-time whistle here at the Tobar Express Stadium at the Turnbull ground. Seasiders with a 1-0 home win.
That was the dulcet tones of Paul Connolly and Liam Ryder, who join me now to look back over Tuesday night's important victory over Ilkeston. Certainly not a classic, Liam, but a very important 3 points.
Yeah, I think it was never going to be a classic, really, given the circumstances and just getting the match on in the first place. At the end of the day, 3 points is 3 points, and it's much needed because I know we haven't really had many games, so you can't read too much into it, but we're out within since that game at Warrington Rylands on November the 15th. So, you look at it thinking potentially going basically 2 months without a victory, albeit with not many games played in that time. But yeah, the main thing was to get that win. Ilkeston aside, who, as we discussed beforehand, they were sort of a bit hit and miss. They go on a bad run followed by a good run, and we got them when they're on one of their good runs. So, I think it's a very good victory. Of course, any 3 points you can take are going to be valid. But, I think psychologically as well now, just having that win, back-to-back clean sheets as well. I know we're disappointed against Workington not to have won that match. But, clean sheets are something that we're going to take. And, that defensive record, on the whole, it's been very good this season. So, and again, yes, only scored from a penalty spot, but it's a goal. It's something to try and build on now, and hopefully we can do that.
Yes, indeed. A crucial victory, Paul.
Yeah, it was a great win for Whitby. Obviously, a much needed one as well. It certainly wasn't the prettiest game, and it wasn't ever going to be the prettiest game. But, we spoke with Gary Liddell after the match, and like he said in the interview, and I said before, that was, it was a night for simple football, and for players who are good at doing the simple things to be out there on the field and be effective. And that was certainly the case from Whitby's point of view. Over the course of the 90 minutes, it was nothing fancy. It wasn't one for the purist by any stretch of the imagination, but Whitby got out there and got the job done. I think, there were frustrating elements of the performance, particularly, in front of goal. That's certainly, got to be addressed. I think we had 6 shots in the first half alone, and all of them off target. I don't think we particularly tested the goalkeeper in that respect. So yeah, that's something that's certainly got to be addressed, and I know it's certainly a frustration. But look, all in all, what matters ultimately is 3 points on the board. It's moved us 3 points away from the drop zone, so we've got that little bit of a 6-point cushion there. That's one thing we can't rest on their laurels on now. We've got to just continue going out and trying to win games of football, starting at Prescot this weekend. But ultimately, a 6-point gap, it's not a bad gap to have. No gap's a bad gap to have, particularly when you're trying to pull away from it. So yeah, in that respect, yeah, that's a positive. But it's a case of now we've got to go to Prescott on Saturday and ensure that we, repeat the good parts of that performance. The simplicity and ultimately the solidity that Whitby showed on the evening.
And Liam spoke to the Whitby Town player manager, Gary Liddell, after the game.
Gary, a big 3 points this evening, 1-0 victory against Ilkeston Town. I'm sure you were over the moon with that one.
Yeah, definitely. I've just said to them there, they really deserve that today. I think a real battling performance, not one for the neutral, but really pleased with the efforts, the battling qualities that the lads had to show tonight. A night for simple football, if you like, and we battled well and got on top of second balls, won first balls, and really pleased with the result. Obviously, we we got a goal tonight, which is not been we've not been used to. But no, I'm really pleased that it's resulted in us getting 3 points, and it makes a disappointing result what we felt on Saturday look like a decent week, and we can hopefully take it on to Prescot at the weekend.
Yeah, I know on Saturday it was very much sort of touch and go whether the game was going to go ahead, perhaps even more so this evening. But like you said, a real battling performance out there, which you're always going to need in those sort of conditions.
100%, and I think I meant to mention it on Saturday. I think Darren, the groundsman, deserves huge credit for the work that him and his staff have done over the last week in getting these games on. I believe that we were the only grass pitch within the league who were on Saturday, and for the club to have games on this week with the conditions that the country have had, Darren and his staff deserve huge credit for that. So we thank them for that, and I'm just pleased that we've been able to get on there today. And like you said, it was probably touch and go today, a little bit more than it was Saturday, but thankfully the game was on, and it's resulted in us coming away with an important 3 points.
Yeah, and just looking across the game, in the first half, it did seem that Whitby that were largely on top in terms of creating chances. Disappointment that you perhaps didn't hit the target on those, but at the same time pleasing given the last couple of matches that your players are shooting on sight pretty much. Yeah,
I changed the system a little bit today, and I just felt I wanted more people closer to the goal and within touching distance of each other. It's a big old pitch here at the Tour Bar, and I just felt with the system that we were playing recently, it left a few people in certain areas very isolated, and I wanted to change that tonight and see if it was to bring us goals. It certainly brought us more chances. It certainly made us look a little bit more of a threat within the opposition's box, and without really troubling the goalkeeper or hitting the target. But we looked threatening, and we had bodies in the right places, which was good to see. Not quite the same second half. Our second half was more getting in and about the battling side, but really pleased that we were able to get a goal in the second half in it. Ultimately, I'm just happy for the lads. They've worked tremendously hard. They've been disappointed with recent results, especially here at the Tour Bar, but tonight, it carries on a decent start to 2026 for us.
Yeah, and that winning goal coming from the penalty spot, it was Matty Tyman that put the penalty away there, but initially good work from Ben Farrow, just come off the bench, and he was a real live wire out there. Yeah, I started with Ty and Charlo today. It's two lads who've obviously been at the club all season, and I haven't really, other than pre-season, if I remember, I haven't really used them together. So it was a good chance for them tonight, and both done really well. Both offer different qualities to the side. Charlo's always going to threaten him behind, and he had a few opportunities off it. Ty is Ty. He does what he does, and he's one of the best in the league at doing what he does in his hold-up play and his link-up play. And I thought it was really good tonight, and thoroughly deserved his goal and his man of the match award, I believe. So, no, really pleased for Ty. He's been chopping at the bit, and as you said, Ben came on and was a nuisance himself, and showed good strength and good willingness to again run and cause problems for them. Yeah, and towards the game, it was going to come down to game management really, and it did feel that the Whitby really saw that well. A few nervous moments. I know Matty Tyman himself at the crossbar as well, but on the whole, you must be pleased with how your side saw that out and managed the game really well there. Yeah, I've just said to them in the dressing room, we look really solid at the moment, and for the lack of goals that we've been getting, we look really solid at the other end, and that's not just on the defensive lads and goalkeeper, but it's a real team effort to get these clean sheets, and I think we've had 2 or 3 now within quick succession. So if you can keep clean sheets, as I've just said to them, you're always going to give yourself a chance to win games, and as it was tonight, 1-0 clean sheet, 3 points. Yeah, and then you imagine on Saturday as well, it'd be another battling performance acquired at Prescot, going off our past experiences there. Last season was certainly maybe wasn't the prettiest football match, and I'm sure you'll be trying to use the sort of qualities you showed tonight to go into that one. It'll be a similar game, no doubt. A team who build themselves on that endeavourness and battling and commitment quality. So we'll have to match that again. Do exactly as what we've done tonight, and if not better. It's a real tough place to go, a real tight ground. A team who've done well over the last year or two.
And no, we'll hopefully take the confidence that we've got from tonight's win into another important game at the weekend.
That's Gary Liddell speaking to Liam after that victory on Tuesday by 1-0 over Ilkeston, and the man who scored the crucial goal. That's Matty Timon, and he spoke to me earlier this week. So a superb win on Tuesday night, Matty, and obviously you took centre stage with a terrific penalty and almost what's becoming the trademark Timon lob late in the game onto the crossbar.
Yeah, the one against the crossbar just seemed to sit nicely. And with the wind and the keeper a little bit off his line, I just thought, well, why not? I scored a couple last season, so yeah. When it was just in front of me, my eyes lit up, and I just thought, if I can get this over the keeper, I've got a chance. And it was unfortunate it didn't go in. Yeah,
absolutely. I was going to say, you mentioned you scored a few of those towards the end of last season. I mean, how did it feel out there on Tuesday night? I dare say pretty chilly, pretty attritional, but it seemed to work pretty well.
Yeah, it actually felt good. For the first 20 minutes, it felt as a team that we were showing what we haven't shown in the past couple of weeks, which was just like a desire to go in and win the game. And I feel like as much as we didn't have any clear-cut chances, it felt like there was a goal coming. And I don't know if it was just everybody just pulling together, understanding that it was really a game we had to win. With the recent form and the way that the league's going, we need to put a run together. And yeah, I just think everybody dug in deep, and it was a difficult pitch for both teams. And I think we played to our strengths on that pitch really well, and yeah, we picked up the 3 points, which it didn't matter if we played well or played poorly. As long as we picked up 3 points and we scored a goal, that was the most important thing.
Yeah, I was going to ask, and you personally, I mean, I know you've had your foot condition, which means that you've only played sort of here and there, sort of cameo roles in the second half mainly. I mean, did you feel good out there?
Yeah, obviously, I can feel it not being in the team for quite a few weeks. I can't even remember when it was when I got my foot injury now. But yeah, it's been a few weeks since I've started, so I definitely felt it out there. But again, when you're doing well, and it felt like we were doing well in the game, it kind of carries you forward, and it gives you that either second wind or a bit of momentum just to carry on and be able to last 90 minutes or whatever. But yeah, felt good. I'm feeling it today, but no, I felt good out there.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, is it one of those things, you said about, you just thought, wow, I might as well have a go with this chip later on. I mean, if for example, your penalty had been saved or you'd missed it, I mean, do you still think you would have taken a punt on that one?
I'll be honest, I think I probably would have done. I do like my chips and long range effort, so I think I'd have probably took it on. But like you're saying there, when you do score or if you are winning, you do have that confidence to try things. So it is something what happens, but I think I still would have tried it. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, and just a word for young Ben Farah, just 17 years of age. He comes off the bench just a few minutes later. He brings the foul that won the penalty. I think he made quite a good impact, didn't he?
He made a really good impact. I spoke to him before the game, and I said, when you come on tonight, just make sure you give lots of energy and lots of running, and that's exactly what he done when he came on. And obviously the ball for the penalty, when Connor's put the ball over to me and I've headed it down, he's in the perfect position to take a touch, and it was great, the runs he was making and the positions he was taking up on the pitch as well. Obviously he was in the right position for the knockdown, and he's took a touch and he's took a tumble off the challenge, and we've won the penalty from it, which really we've won the game from. So no, it was good because he gave us a different dynamic coming on. Fresh legs, and he seems to work really hard, so that can only benefit us and just add to the front three what we've got now with me, Charlo and Ben.
Indeed. I was going to say, you mentioned Saturday's game, the 0-0 with Workington, and maybe a bit of a different feel to Tuesday, a little bit more maybe positivity, ambition, and a willingness to win the game. I mean, in terms of the opposition, do you think there was much between Workington and Ilkeston?
I think they played very differently. I know Workington last night went to FC United and were 2-0 up and got pegged back to draw 2-2. So, you look at Saturday and you go, actually, it might have been a good point because they've turned the corner of late, Workington, and they seem to counter attack really well, and they seem to have a lot of pace and a lot of energy in the team. Where Ilkeston just looked like a typical Northern Premier League team. They were just physical. They were putting the ball long, and they didn't really have any phases of play. I didn't feel like. So I think they were very different to working, and it kind of worked in our favour. We battled hard. We were solid at the back, which we have been for the past couple of games, and we seemed to just grind the result out, which we needed to do.
Indeed, and then we look forward to Saturday, Prescot Cables away. I mean, it's not likely to be another game for the purists, is it? I think it's going to be another battle, isn't it?
Yeah, I can't imagine it's going to be a classic. Like last season. Last season we went there and the pitch was awful. I can only imagine it's going to be the same again. And they're a big physical team. So yeah, I think it's going to be probably the same as what it was on Tuesday night. It's going to be a game where we roll our sleeves up, we battle hard, and we're solid at the back, and we try and nick a goal or two and win the game.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, the manager made quite a few changes from Saturday to Tuesday, presumably, with the heavy pitches in mind. And as you say, Saturday will probably be no different. But I mean, is there going to be some disappointment if you're not in the starting lineup again on Saturday?
Oh, of course, everybody, when you're winning, every single player wants to be in the team. But I think I don't know if there's another 6 more games until the end of January or 5. There's plenty of games. So obviously, I know Leeds will be trying to monitor that and try and bring players in and out of the team just to make sure everybody's fit and ready for each game. Because even if we win on Tuesday night, it doesn't necessarily mean you keep the starting 11 for Saturday. Because if you do, and then you win again on Saturday and you keep the same team for Tuesday, I mean, playing 3 times in a week on these pitches, I don't think many players can do it, even at a young age, So it'll be just going into the game and trying to prepare the best we possibly can. I think everybody understands at this stage of the season now, there's going to be opportunities to come back into the team. So yeah, disappointed if you won't be starting on Saturday, but at the same time, I think everybody will be realising that Tuesday's soon coming round, and then there's another game on Saturday, so he'll get plenty of opportunities.
That's Matty Timon speaking to me after the goal he scored, that crucial penalty. Very nicely taken, Liam, very calmly slotted away.
Yes, and I think apologies from myself and Paul for not backing him from the penalty spot. We listened to the commentary. It was, we almost didn't dare celebrate being awarded a penalty because I had little faith of us actually converting it, not knowing who would take it either at the time. But yeah, luckily Paul's memories of was it Stourbridge away that I think they got put out of sight there with that one. Nice and composed, it's almost sort of waiting for the goalkeeper to go down and just send in the wrong direction. Showing his experience there, and I think that's made part of the reason that he sort of said to himself, "Look, I'm going to take this penalty because he backed himself." And that's what we need, in the situation, in the form we're in, just to get those senior players to really step up. And Matthew Town delivered there, did what we needed him to do, and I thought he had a good game. It was a very sort of Matty Timon match, really, with the conditions as well.
Absolutely, yeah. And the man who set up the penalty, if you like, with his bravery and just taking that important touch, forcing the defender to foul him, was the youngster, the teenager Ben Farrer, and he caught up with Paul.
So Ben, you've had your first taste of action in the Whitby Town shirt now. Obviously, the 0-0 draw against Workington on Saturday, and then the 1-0 win on Tuesday night. Just first of all, how are you finding things at the Tobar Express Stadium?
Yeah, I'm enjoying it a lot. I feel like I've fit in well, and it's a great team to come into. They've been very welcoming. And the 2 games I've played, and I felt like they've been okay. Obviously, the 0-0 draw wasn't great, but then managed to get that win on Tuesday night, which made it better.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It was a frustrating one on Saturday, wasn't it, Ben? Obviously, not really managing to sort of find the openings that we would have wanted on the afternoon.
Yeah, it was a tough game. Workington, although they're near the bottom of the league, they were quite strong and they were good in like the defence and the attack. So it was a tough game to break them down. We did get a couple chances, and I had a couple chances which maybe I should have took, but it was just one of them games really where it didn't really go our way.
Yeah. And then obviously Tuesday night you were introduced from the bench against Ilkeston. Just on that, obviously you had that bit of impact winning the penalty for the Seasiders that ultimately saw the winning goal.
Yeah, it's a great confidence boost for me really, coming on from the bench. First real touch of the game really. I had one touch and it led to a penalty, so I felt like the impact from the bench, that's what you do as a sub really when you come on. You try and impact it as much as you can. And I felt like that I did that well when I came on.
Yeah, absolutely. As you mentioned there, winning that penalty and just sort of being in and around the penalty area there and getting your chances. You'll be hoping that maybe this weekend the first goal will drop for you.
Yeah, hopefully everyone's got to keep getting in them creation-wise, get them shots off, and hopefully one will go in.
Yeah. And in terms of, obviously, you've been at Bridlington this season and then coming into Whitby Town, that sort of jump up the league. How much of a difference have you noticed between the two levels?
There definitely is a little bit of difference between like the defence. The defence, I feel like it is a little bit tougher, but I still feel like I can get the better of the defence in this league, and I feel like after a couple of games I'll be used to how different teams play in this league. So I feel like a couple more games I'll be back how I was playing in Step 4, scoring goals and just creating havoc really in the back line.
Ben Farrer speaking to Paul, and he's made quite an impact in the short time he's been at the club, Liam.
Yeah, he has. I know we alluded to it after the Workington match that it felt like we didn't play to his strengths. It was only really Michael Woods that sort of looked like he may have been the player that would have played him in behind and let him bear down on goal. But obviously had to come off injured in that one. But yeah, he may have been disappointed not to have started against Ilkeston. But at the same time, I feel that Gary Liddell sort of opted for a team that was experienced to maybe deal with the conditions a bit more. But to be fair to Ben, when he came on, he looked sharp. He looked like he wasn't really fazed by the heavy pitch that we had to play with eventually. And really, with the penalty, yes, the defenders lunged in, but Ben Farrer's got himself in that position in the first place and sort of invited that challenge to come in there, which has obviously won the penalty. So, certainly positive signs there. And I think really he looks like, I know he hasn't got a goal yet, but it does feel like he's going to be a really valuable player for us in the second half of this season. Hopefully get some goals as well, but his all-round play looks like it can be really positive. And yeah, I think we mentioned it before, just sort of his physicality. It's surprising really for a player of his age, but he looks sort of like a very, very much MPL ready player there.
Yeah, very, very positive indeed. Then we look forward to what's going to be a real battle, I think, at Prescot Cables on Saturday, Paul.
It's never an easy place to go at Prescott. I think we saw that last season with the 1-0 defeat there, and that was a highly frustrating game, quite frankly. I think we hit the post 2 or 3 times in that game. I certainly remember Hawksy hitting the post, and I think Joe Angier hit the post as well, and maybe even Leighton Watts in that game. So yeah, it's going to be a tricky game. It's going to be a tough game. We know exactly what to expect. They'll be direct. They'll be compact. They're gonna cause problems in those respects. So yeah, we've got to obviously go there and do the job. But what does concern me about this sort of game is Whitby's record against teams that are kind of very much in that mire and in that dogfight. Obviously, Prescott sitting in 16th. The 2 teams above them we've beaten, Ilkeston and Rushall. But then you look sort of the other way, and Hyde United, they're a team that obviously we've lost twice to away from home this season. Morpeth Town we lost to recently at the Tobar Express Stadium. Leek we lost quite fairly heavily to at the Tobar Express Stadium at the Turnbull Ground. That was a 3-0 defeat. Stocksbridge away, we know what happened there. The 4-1 defeat, that was probably Whitby's worst performance of the season by a long stretch. And obviously we drew 0-0 with them here at the Tobar Express Stadium. Workington, we beat them on the opening day, but we drew last week here as well. So it's going to be a game where Whitby really need to look at putting that record right and doing it and getting in Prescot's faces from the off, because we know what Prescott will do. They'll be big, they'll be strong, they'll be physical, they'll be straight at Whitby, and they'll be trying to make it a hard game, a difficult game to get involved in. And ultimately, it's not going to be a great pitch on Saturday. We kind of know that from our previous visits there, whether it's in the summer, in the winter, we don't always have the best surface to play on there at Prescott. So yeah, it's going to be a very tricky game, but ultimately, if you want to stay away from these relegation battles, if you want to pull yourself up the table, these are the games that you've got to win to pull away from that pack. There's 4 teams at the minute on 25 points. Whitby are on 31, 6 points ahead of that. So ultimately, it's now about taking out as many of those teams as you can and getting yourself as far up the table as you can, because that's ultimately what Whitby's aim is. Gary Liddell's spoken about getting to that 45 point, that 50 point mark. You've got to beat the teams below you to do that and give yourselves the best possible opportunity to ultimately stay out of that relegation battle, because our record against the teams down there at the minute leaves a hell of a lot to be desired, and that's now something that Gary Liddell, Jason Kennedy and the team themselves out on the pitch have to figure out and have to go and sort. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that game plays out. I'm hoping that Whitby can come away with 3 points and ultimately, just play the simple football that we played on Tuesday night, and ultimately it'll be effective, because we saw we can create chances. The big obstacle now is putting those chances away when they come. We can't have another game where we create 5, 6, 7 chances and shots on goal and put all of them wide or over. We've at least got to test the keeper. If you test the keeper, you're giving yourself half a chance. You don't know if something might spill, something for someone to follow up. But ultimately, that's got to be the thing now, is we take the positive elements of Tuesday's performance into Saturday and try and obviously take away 3 points and pull yourselves that little bit further away from the relegation zone.
I was going to say a couple of clean sheets in the last 2 games, bit of momentum going, which is something that DC mentioned the other week when he was on the show. So hopefully we can take that and make for a good performance on Saturday. If you can't make the game, 3 p.m. live commentary with Liam, Paul and the rest of the team there on This Is the Coast Extra. Liam, there's some news regarding the playoff places. It looks like we're going to be copying the template of the National North-South and the National League.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of felt inevitable that we would eventually follow, just with how it goes across the non-league pyramid. Whatever the National League do, the Northern Premier League will invariably follow, and obviously all the other step-3 divisions as well. I'm sort of in 2 minds of it, really. I mean, playoffs in general, it's okay if you're a team that sneak in there last minute, and sometimes you can go up because momentum carries you, but especially in our situation, the National League's one thing when you've got well, even they've only got the 2 promotion places, so haven't they? But you just think when you've only got one automatic place, and it's kind of like, how is it fair that second all the way down to 7th now are under a shout of getting promoted? But that's it. And like I say, if Whitby were to sneak in 7th, then at some point, not saying this season, but next season, of course, then you take it happily, and you try and use that as a reason to try and get promoted. But yeah, I mean, it's sort of expected news, I think, really, going back a few years when the National League bought it in. So we'll see how it pans out. I'm sure there'll be some clubs in favour and some against it, but ultimately they have no call on this matter.
Indeed. So, yes, all the way down to 7th spot will be involved in the playoffs from next season. And just finally, Liam, we end the Codcast as always with Boost the Budget.
Yeah, indeed. So as we know, Ben Farrer was aided by that Boost the Budget campaign to get him into the club. But if I were to spare anything to donate towards that, just head to the Whitby Town website, whitbytownfc.com. There's a tab at the top which says Boost the Budget, or you can just head to the club shop section and follow the various bits on there to go through to it, and you can make a pledge from there. And as well, of course, if you just want to make a one-off donation, just get in touch with us and we'll direct you in the same direction as well. So yeah, that's one of a few things, and I don't know if I mentioned it last time actually about the 50-50 draw update we're going to do as well. Starting with next week's game against Gainsborough at home, where we're going to now start putting tickets online in advance. It's something that we've seen a few other clubs do. And basically what that'll do, it enables people living further afield to get involved with the draw. Those that don't carry cash, no excuses now. You can buy your 50-50 tickets, and the best thing about it is as well is that hopefully that'll increase prize money on a match day, and if the game's off for whatever reason due to the weather, we can still do the draw. So another positive initiative there we're trying to introduce, and hopefully it goes down well and we can actually make a good bit of money off that for fundraising.
Sounds like a good plan to me, Liam. So just a reminder, Saturday 3 p.m, it's a trip to Prescot Cables for Whitby Town. If you're not able to make it, we do have live commentary with Liam, Paul and the rest of the team on This Is the Coast Extra. Thank you to Liam Ryder and to Paul Connolly from the Whitby Town media team, and my guests on this week's show, as well as Gary Liddell, the Whitby Town player manager, Marty Timon and Ben Farrer, as well as you for listening, and we'll be back with another one in the next week. Bye for now.